Good morning, one and all. Today, I am here to introduce Dr. Padma Shravani Madam, who is our resource person today. Currently, she is working as Assistant Professor in Government Medical College, Anantapur. She completed her MD Pharmacology in Narayana Medical College. She received her Doctor of Medicine for Gold Medal, and she pursued her MBBS in Government Medical College, Anantapur. She completed her senior residence in ACSR Medical College. She started her career at Government Medical College as Assistant Professor in 2015. Later, she had 8 paper publications, and she actively participated in various national and international conferences with paper and the poster presentation. Madam was selected as a speaker for Zonal CME, and recently she completed her biomedical research by ICMR in 2020 December with 80% score. Now it's time to introduce, may I request Dr. Padma Shravani ma'am to deliver a keynote address on drug development and clinical trials.
Good morning, one and all. To all the faculty and the students attended here, thank you for your warm welcome. I think in this COVID pandemic, this is the first gathering, offline gathering, and this is the first session by me. So hopefully you will, I wish to complete 6 days successfully. Okay. So today's topic is new drug development and the clinical trials. I am going to deal with this topic. So all of you know that already that until 19th century the useful life of the drug is up to various years, 50 years. But after 20th century it came down to only 1 or 2 decades because of the strict governing rules by the development to assess the safety and efficacy of the drug. Okay, so these new drug development process involves from the identification new drug development comes from the start from the identification of the chemical entity, genesis of the chemical product at the level of laboratory to the ultimately finally approval of the drug if it is safe and approval as a therapeutic agent, okay, to the command. So this is a process of it takes so many years for the approval of the new drug from the development, the identification of the drug, and it came to the market and randomly used by the patient safely. It takes so much years for the approval of the drug, and process involves the 3 phases. One is the drug discovery phase, one is the preclinical phase, and also clinical trials. Okay, so drug discovery phase here is identification, candidate identification chosen based on the mainly pharmacological properties. Okay, that is the drug discovery phase. And second one is the preclinical phase. Here comes the animal studies in the preclinical phase. Wide range of animal studies will done in the preclinical states. Okay, so pharmacodynamic, all of you know the pharmacokinetic and toxicological studies will done in the preclinical stage. Later, if the promising results came to the drug in the preclinical phase, then only we will do these clinical trials, so that we will give the drug to the humans, that is the human trials, otherwise called as the clinical trials. Okay, So coming to the history, in early days up to late 1800s, from the botanical sources the drugs will be as the main ingredients, whereas in the 1900s chemical methods, synthetic preparations of the drugs came to use, and early of 1930s isolating, screening the natural products, isolating from this acts as an active ingredients, and late 1970s development of the recombinant DNA products came into existence, and also later after the drug came into the market also some disasters occur. One disaster example is the thalidomide disaster. After, even though the so many years of this our research and all that, we should not tell it is not having any side effects and it will not cause any harm to the people. So the like that drug is the thalidomide. Thalidomide is a drug used in the case of pregnant women to decrease the nausea and the vomiting early days. But after taking this drug thalidomide, the pregnant women who given birth to the people newborn, they developed the phocomelia. Phocomelia means absence of limbs. Okay? So absence of limbs developed by the newly born children. That is a major disaster. Around 10,000 newborns developed the absence of limbs and congenital abnormality because of use of this thalidomide by the pregnant women. So this is like this happened after the drug came to the market also. See this flowchart that prepared that identification of the medical needs and research mainly targets the receptors where the drug acts we have to focus, and the lead compound we will identify that interact with the targets, and later the lead optimization occurs and drug development and later preclinical studies in vivo and the in vitro studies we have to do. This slide showing the time, how much time, around 10 years will take for the approval of the drug. If you identify, see here 10,000 compounds having the property, any pharmacological property, if you identify that in that 250 compounds will give promising results, and in that after passing the preclinical studies in the clinical trials, only 5 compounds will go to the clinical trials, only 1 compound will be approved by the FDA. Okay? So ultimately that how much struggle we have to do for the development of one new drug and it should be approved for the FDA. You have to see that after out of 10,000 compounds, only 1 compound will approved by the Food and Drug Administration. And this is also that phases of the drug development that I told, drug discovery phase, preclinical development and the clinical development. So in that drug discovery, so target selection, lead compound identification, optimization will come under the drug discovery phase. In the preclinical phase, pharmacodynamic, pharmacokinetics and toxicological studies, and clinical phase, clinical trials, again they divided into so many phases, that phase 1, 2, phase 3 and phase 4. Phase 4 is otherwise called post-marketing surveillance. The flow chart just showing that the already terms that new chemical identity discovery of the new chemical identity and the structure of that drug can be identified. Will do the preclinical studies and clinical studies in the humans. This is also same, that identification and drug discovery phase followed by the preclinical studies, and after the drug shows promising results in the preclinical studies, will do the will have to apply the investigation new drug application and we have to approve from this FDA. So later only we will do the clinical trials in the humans. Okay. So before, after, if drug shows promising results in the clinical trials, after passing the phase 3 clinical trials, before going to the market, you have to apply the new drug application to the regulatory authorities, and after approval only the drug will came into the market. So this slide showing the how much time will take for this each step in the involvement of the drug development. Isolation of the compound may take 1 to 2 years. Preclinical studies, it will take 2 to 4 years. And after the preclinical studies, we have to get permission for clinical trials. It takes 3 to 6 months. And also clinical trials, for doing clinical trials, it takes 3 to 10 years. And for permission, post-marketing surveillance, again it's up to 2 years we have to scrutiny the drug. Okay. So as I told, the first one is the drug discovery phase. In that, various approaches are there for the drug discovery phase. How we have to identify? We can identify the drug by the random screening. And second one, serendipity, happy observation. Sometimes by chance we can identify so many drugs. Okay. And also third one is a rational drug designing. Okay. So we have to identify the targets where in the receptor levels where the abnormality, based on that we can prepare the drugs, rational drug designing. Okay. And fourth one is the designing the prodrug. Okay. So the prodrug means the outside it is inactive, but within the body after taking, for example paracetamol, it is available in inactive form. After taking in the body, it will be converted to the active form. So these are the various phases, various approaches for the drug discovery phase. So one is a random screening. Random screening is a blind hitting procedure. Okay, new compound, natural product we will identify, natural or synthetic product we will identify based on the random screening for the pharmacological property. So like that, and we have to explore the various activities in that compound like that. So it is a blind hitting procedure, but various drugs we identified by this random screening method. One example is the morphine. See here, this is a blind hitting procedure to explore these drugs or having this biological activity by screening the pharmacological procedures. So in that, so many drugs we identified with this random screening. Example, morphine. Morphine is an opioid. Atropine is an anticholinergic drug. Digitalis is used in the heart failure. Okay, quinidine is also used as an anti-arrhythmic drug. So like from the folklore medicines, from the natural products only they extracted by blind hitting procedure. Okay, so our ancestors did. And cyclosporine is an immunosuppressive drug. Okay, randomly while screening for the fungal products, we identified this cyclosporine. Voluntarily we not identify. Blind hitting procedure is this random screening. And another approach for this the drug discovery phase is the serendipity or happy observation. So we can identify the new use in the old drug, already approved drug. So one approved for one use, and we can identify if it is having, like nowadays COVID pandemic came now, in that also so many approved drugs only we are ivermectin like that. So many drugs only we are used in the COVID pandemic, other use of the old drug. Okay, that is called serendipity. So examples, these are the examples: penicillins, and also lignocaine is the local anesthetic. Phenytoin is a drug used in the epilepsy, in the seizures. It's usually approved drug, but later we identified it is having anti-arrhythmic property. And methotrexate is an anti-cancer drug. We can also later identify it is having the used in the dermatological condition like the psoriasis. Okay, so these are the other uses of the old drug. Second approach for the drug discovery phase is the rational drug designing. So rational drug designing again of two types: compound centered approach as well as target centered approach. So compound means the name itself, identification of the compound, and we will see for the pharmacological activity. Whereas target centered approach is the identification of the biochemical or molecular targets within the body and identification of the targets, and we will design the drugs. I will tell the example for this. Example for compound centered approach is the penicillin. Penicillin we obtain from the Penicillium notatum. So from this, because the main examples are the penicillin from the Penicillium notatum and paclitaxel. Paclitaxel is an anti-cancer drug derived from the Pacific yew tree. See, these are the examples for the compound. We identify the natural compounds and we will see for this their pharmacological activity. Some main disadvantage of these compound centered approach, they are the complex molecules. They are the complex molecules and difficult to synthesize, and also their modified analogues also difficult to synthesize for us because of this complex structure. So lead optimization is also difficult, and also by this compound centered approach we can prepare the synthetic products also. Already approved established drugs will be there. We can learn the structure of the established drug, structural activity relationship, and so that from that we can prepare the analogues of the drug. So many drugs are there nowadays, like the beta blockers, propranolol. So based on the structure of the propranolol, we develop so many beta blockers. So they are called me too drugs. Me too drugs. Next approach is the, in case of the rational drug designing, target centered approach. So we can identify the molecular targets where the disease, what abnormality within the body, so that we identify the drug that acts on the receptors. So identification of the target in case of, for example, see this angiotensin converting enzyme, which is required for the conversion of the angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. So what happens by giving this? So angiotensin 2 is a powerful vasoconstrictor. So by giving the inhibitors of the angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors like the ramipril, so what happens? The angiotensin 2 will not form in the body, so that we can reduce the blood pressure, high blood pressures we can reduce by giving these drugs. So we will target the, where is the, here is the enzyme is the target, here like that. So these are the target centered approach. So compared to these rational, in this compound centered approach and target centered approach, target is giving the more promising results compared to, and less side effects, and the less cumbersome and time consuming, time also less taking with this target centered approach compared to the compound centered approach. So as I told, another approach for the drug discovery is the designing of prodrug. It is a prodrug is the main precursor of the main active metabolite. Okay, so example here is the levodopa. Levodopa, which is the drug used in the Parkinsonism. So in the dopamine levels are decreased. So levodopa outside it is inactive state. In the body is converted to the dopamine. Okay, active form of the drug like that. Okay, an example as I told the paracetamol also. Okay, so that is also will be available. Outside is the phenacetin, that is the inactive, and within the body it is converted to the active metabolite. These are the examples of the prodrugs. So with this the chemical compound, that is the lead compound, we will identify, and this development analogs lead optimization will do in the drug discovery phase. Later, after completion of the drug discovery phase, the next level we will go to these preclinical studies. Preclinical evaluation we will do on the animals. So wide range of animal studies or the preclinical studies. Okay. In that pharmacodynamics and pharmacokinetics of the drug and the toxicological of the drug we will study in this preclinical stage. So what the main aim of this preclinical studies is to identify use of the therapeutic. You identified the one agent. What is the use of the therapeutic agent in the animals we will do in the preclinical studies. So if before the drug given to the humans, first dose in the humans, so before going to the clinical trials should show the promising results in this animal that is preclinical phase. So then only we'll give the first dose in the humans. Okay, we'll do the clinical trials. So we can this pharmacodynamic studies, the what is drug action in the body, that pharmacological actions will studies. For example, antihypertensive activity of the compound we will see in the dogs, cats, rats by doing the by measuring the systolic and the diastolic blood pressure and taking the ECGs and also inotropic, audiotropic actions. So like that we will see if that it shows the promising results of the drug showing any reduction in the blood pressure. Okay, then we will go the study at the cellular level. Okay, later we will go for the molecular level, at the receptor level also. By receptor binding assays we will study. Okay, if it show the promising results in these pharmacodynamic studies. So first lead compound, if shows any promising results by decreasing that like any drug, that antidepressant, if you want to assess, so it shows it showing some antidepressant activity, we will study at the cellular level and go for the molecular level. And so effectiveness of the drug we will be assessed by these pharmacodynamic studies. Later toxicological studies will done. If the toxicological studies means once the drug shows that it is useful, it shows effects, then we'll do the toxicological, means what are the adverse effects, what are the, if it is useful only we will go for the identification of the adverse effects. So identification of the adverse effects which causes any major organs damage occurs because of the drug will identify by doing these toxicological studies. Okay, acute toxicity by actual dose of this drug which is lethal to the 50% of the animals. So that is the acute toxicity. So in the acute toxicity, 2 doses we will take, 2 doses we have to prefer. Okay, if for acute toxicity, rats are preferred usually. Rats are the animals preferred, and 2 doses of the drug. 2 routes also we have to take. 1 route out of these should be preferred in the humans. Okay, acute toxicity studies to detect the lethal dose LD50 we can identify by doing this acute toxicity studies. Next, subacute toxicity studies, major organ damage we will identify with this. So we will give what we will take here is the 2 animal species and 3 doses we have to take here. So maximum tolerated dose we have to identify, and we have to give that dose for 4 weeks to 3 months to the animals, rats or rabbits. So in that for 4 weeks to 3 months you have to give that dose. Some histopathological changes, biochemical changes will develop in the animals, so that we can identify by after killing the animal, histopathological examination we identify the any organ damage developed by the in the animals, we can identify in the subacute toxicity. Next is the chronic toxicity. Chronic toxicity, if wanted this drug for chronic use in the patients, then only we will do the chronic toxicity studies. For 1 to 2 years it takes, but usually it overlaps with the human studies only. Special toxicity. So after this development of this disaster, the thalidomide disaster happened. So after that, the special toxicity studies came. It is mandatory because every organ damage we have to assess, and also development of the mutagenicity because of the drugs, and the carcinogenicity may develop. Okay, some drugs may affect the reproductive organs also. So special toxicity studies we have to, it is mandatory after this disaster happened in the 1961 thalidomide disaster. So reproductive performance will give, we have to perform in the rats usually. That what happened that before and after mating period we have to give the drug, assess for the mating behavior and also fertility, parturition, lactation we have to notice. And teratogenicity testing also done, carried out on the 2 animal species to assess the effect of the drugs on the organogenesis. Drug is given after mating during the period of organogenesis, so that any abnormality in the organogenesis we have to notice. So is drug is having the teratogenic potential or not, we can identify. Carcinogenicity we will do on the 2 animal species, and for about 2 years usually cause some drugs may develop to tumors, benign and the malignant tumors after usage of the drugs may develop. We have to assess mutagenicity, and some drugs may cause changes in the genetic material and that cause mutation in the genes also. Reproductive cells mainly, sometimes mutation of the reproductive cells, sperms and the ova, that leads to the abnormal first progeny. Okay, so we can identify by this test, Ames test. Ames test is a test used in this identification of the mutagenicity. See here, this Salmonella typhi which causes the typhoid. Salmonella typhi cannot grow or dies in the histidine medium, histidine deficient medium. But if mutation occurs in that, it can grow in the histidine deficient medium. So mutant strains of the Salmonella typhi can grow in the histidine deficient medium. So we can identify like that by doing this test. So this, see here, this is the phocomelia, absence of limbs because of this thalidomide which used previously against nausea and vomiting in case of pregnant women. So that leads to development absence of limbs, and this short limbs will develop by the newborns. Around 10,000 newborns develop these congenital abnormalities. Next preclinical studies is a pharmacokinetic studies. Usually all of the pharmacokinetics means the absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion. We will see here assess the in the rats, dogs and sometimes in the monkey. So bioavailability we can check promising if previously pharmacodynamics and toxicological studies shows promising results, then we do for these pharmacokinetic studies. Later, after showing promising results in the preclinical studies, we will go into the, we have to apply the investigation new drug application. So in our country, we have to, in India, drug controller, which is at the New Delhi, at the USA Food and Drug Administration, UK submitted safety of medicine. So we have to apply the form and study designs. So after approval of the drug in the preclinical stage, go for the study design. Just see here the observational study designs are there and the experimental study designs. So observational means exposure, not manual. For example, some person is taking the habit of chewing tobacco or habit of smoking. So we should not alter the exposure. Exposure means that habit of having. So with that people, what happened in the prospective study, like that what happened to that or retrospective. So what happened to the smoking people is they developing heart disease or like that, lung cancer like that. We can study without altering the exposure. They are called the observational studies. Whereas the experimental studies, exposure manipulated by the investigator. They are the clinical trials. We are giving the new drugs, and new drugs we will check what happened in the future. So almost all are the prospective studies. Okay. So clinical trials are all prospective studies. Okay. So significance of the clinical trials as defined by the ICMR, it is results of basic research, main better ways to prevent, diagnosis and also treat the disease. Mainly these are the research studies involving people are designed to answer the scientific questions and find better way to prevent, diagnosis or treat the disease. Okay. So among the clinical trials, the gold standard clinical trial is the randomized controlled clinical trials. Excellent, and randomly we will choose and we will give drug randomly without to this one group will give the gold standard drug or the old drug, and one group randomly we will give the new drug. We'll assess the we will check the efficacy of the drug and the safety of the drug. Random control clinical trial is the gold standard after in all the clinical trials. So it is a planned randomized controlled clinical trial is a planned experiment designed to assess the efficacy of the drug, prophylactic, diagnostic, therapeutic agents and devices, regimens also we will assess, procedures, etc. applied to the human subjects. Okay, so all clinical trials, as I told, that involves the human subjects. It may be the investigative procedure where we can compare the old investigation with the new investigation, old drug with the new drug. So various procedures, comparing the outcomes in a group of patients treated with the test treatment with those observed with the comparable groups of patients receiving the control. So one group we have to allot as a control group, and another will be the test group. So it is a prospective study. So objectives of these clinical trials mainly development of the new drugs or new treatment or new medical or healthcare technology, for development of new organization or delivery system of healthcare, development of new methods of primary prevention of various diseases, new programs of screening or early detection. Nowadays we only expose so many that viral pandemic, the COVID-19, new diagnostic procedures, RT-PCR for the detection of the COVID-19 and rapid methods, new detection, how much sensitivity, how much they are reliable, have to assess. Okay, and the new drugs are developing for the treatment of these COVID-19. Still they are in process. How much they shows the promising results, we don't know. We accidentally we are giving the drugs and we have to see the results. Okay, and vaccine also we develop nowadays. So efficacy of that vaccine we have to study. So how much vaccinated people is vaccinated, how much protection from the COVID-19. Already COVID-19 vaccinated people got the positive and somebody is admitted. Is there any protection from the seriousness of the disease? Like we can do the research. So clinical trials, so we have to divide by choosing the people. First allot the sample size. Randomization we have to do to avoid bias. So randomly we have to give the two groups, we have to divide, and one will give the new treatment, another will give the old gold standard treatment, and see further is there continuation of the disease after the follow-up of this treatment or cured people and continuation of the disease and cured people. Okay, this is all the prospective study. This is an example for the therapeutic clinical trial. We are giving the drugs in this. This is the randomization. Randomization is the term very important in the clinical trial. To avoid bias, we divide the people into randomly groups. So one will give the standard treatment and one will give the new treatment. So all randomization provides the best way to prove the effectiveness of the new agent. Okay, and it reduces the various bias. So blinding in the clinical trials will done to decrease the bias in the clinical trials. Blinding can be done at the level of the participants, that is the people, human volunteers or maybe patients. They don't know they are taking the old drug or new drug or control. They don't know. That is called single blinding. Whereas the participants and the investigator don't know, that is called double blinding. Participants, investigator, analyst don't know, that is called triple blind. So blinding helps to eliminate the co-intervention confusion and also bias will also decrease by doing this blinding. So as I told, the phases of the clinical trials, phase 1, 2, 3 and 4. Phase 1 usually prefer healthy volunteers will be involved in it up to 100. Safety and the efficacy of acceptability of the drug will assess in the phase 1 clinical trial. Okay, that we did the drug in the animals, which shows, for example, we want to assess the antihypertensive activity of any drug. It show promising results in the preclinical studies. Is that drug showing the same antihypertensive effect in the humans or not? First we have to see in this phase 1. Next phase 2, to assess the safety and the efficacy of the drug. We will do the phase 2 trial in the patients. Phase 3, effectiveness of the drug will assess and large number of high risk groups will be selected. And phase 4, post-marketing surveillance in the community based, assess the drugs after marketing, that is the post-licensing phase or post-marketing surveillance. So example of a therapeutic trial. So first, for example, HIV infected person, you want to assess one drug is effective in the HIV or not. So previously so many anti-HIV heart therapy is there, anti-HIV, antiretroviral therapies, gold standard treatments are there and regimens are there. You want to compare with that. So by assessing the blood test, simple blood test, CD4 count. Usually the CD4 count levels are decreased in the immunocompromised patients. So by assessing that new drug, you want to we have to compare the new drug with the gold standard therapy. So in this clinical trial, you have to divide the groups, and one group will give the new drug, other will give the gold standard drug, and see for the CD count cells by doing the simple blood test. So what is one example for the therapeutic clinical trials? So very simple. Some common habits also may cause previously these heart diseases are not common in our ancestors, but nowadays why we can assess? Because of these normal lifestyle habits is the cause for that. Also we can assess. The phases of clinical trials, phase 0 also included microdosing. Microdosing is whether the drug behaves in the human subjects same expected in the preclinical studies or not. First you have to confirm by giving microdosing. Next is phase 1. So it see 25 to 100 healthy volunteers, but in case of diseases like the AIDS, like cancer patients, we can select directly that patients only to that particular disease, not the healthy volunteers. Objectives mainly safe and the tolerated dose we can determine. Okay, how we can determine 1/5 to 1/10 of the maximum tolerated dose in the animals, that is in the milligrams per kg. We can calculate for the average human body weight of 70 kgs, so that we can determine the dose of the drug in the phase 1 clinical. Human dose we can determine. And determine the pharmacokinetics, what happens after taking the drug in the body, and predictable toxicities. In this phase 1, it is not, no blinding is done. Okay, open label study. And phase 2, we can assess the drug efficacy of the drug, effectiveness of the drug we will assess in the phase 2 by first time giving the drug to the target disease or target patients. So patients will be the subjects here. They divided the phase 2 clinical trials into early and the late phase. In the early phase, up to 200 subjects, patients have to see for the therapeutic benefit and also side effect of the drug. Late phase 2 clinical trials taken 200 to 400 patients and control double blind manner, double blind technique. Both subject and the investigator don't know the whatever the medicines or drugs giving to that. So in short, phase 2 clinical trials ensure the safety and efficacy of the drug. So phase 3 clinical trial extended of the phase 2, large number of population, here 1000 to 5000 plus population to assess the effectiveness of the drug, just to minimize the errors what happened in the phase 1 and the phase 2. So here the phase 3 double blind crossover design. In that for example patients are divided into for example 3 groups. One group initially placebo control will give for 1 week as a drug, and second group will give that gold standard or standard drug. Third group will give the new drug. So later what happened, after 1 week of therapy, a washout period for 1 week. Later first group again the standard drug will give. Okay, second group will give the new drug, and third group of people will give the control. That is the double blind crossover design will done in the phase 3 clinical trials. It is a multi-centric and also involves large number of population. Phase 4 new drug application comes role here after completion of the drug passes phase 3 clinical trials, then go for the new drug application to the drug controller authorities. So usually it is documentation is acceptable and compliance with regulation with these drug control authorities can allow the drug to enter the market with the new drug status. So after reviewed the data by these drug control authorities only, the new drug will came to the market. Next phase 4 is the post-marketing surveillance. This time period is endless, post-licensing phase, but the manufacturer has to report about the drug to the regulatory authorities every 6 months, initially first 2 years, later for yearly once, first later 2 years. Okay, first initial 4 years he has to monitor the what are the any benefits or risk about the drugs after the drug came to the market. He is the responsible person and has to gather the information. So here comes next is the good clinical practice. Good clinical practice means that human trials, whatever the clinical trials I told, it comply to the genetic code, that is this has to mainly comply to this good clinical practice. So these are mainly developed by this International Conference of Harmonization and Declaration of Helsinki. Some guidelines are given. So all these human trials, whatever the preclinical trials or the laboratory trials, so we have to comply to the good laboratory practice to minimize the human errors. Okay, so whereas clinical trials we mainly compare to this good clinical practice. What it means, the ethical and scientific quality standard for designing a drug, conducting, recording and reporting human clinical studies. So main documents involved are investigation brochure, study protocol, informed consent document. The main parties involved in this GCP are the ethics committee, investigators, sponsors and also regulatory authorities will be there. So see, these are the guidelines given by the International Conference of Harmonization for the clinical trials. Clinical trials should be conducted in accordance with the ethical principles of the Declaration of Helsinki and also consistent with this good clinical practice and appropriate regulatory requirement. And second one is that trial should only be conducted if the potential risk and the inconvenience are over. That means risk is less compared to the use of the benefit of the drug. So risk and the benefit ratio we have to assess. Benefit is more compared to risk of the drug, then only go for the clinical trials. So safety and the rights, well-being of trial subjects are more important considerations. And we are doing studies on the human safety of that persons are the main importance for us. And non-clinical and clinical information about the new intervention should be used for the proposed trial. clinical trial should be scientifically sound and prescribed clear and sufficient detailed protocol should be there, and proposed trial or protocol must be approved by the independent ethics committee, and researchers should follow the protocol when conducting the trial, and whatever the trial subjects, whatever the persons involved should be the responsible of the qualified clinician who will make decisions about the medical care, and all researchers involved in conducting a trial should be qualified person by education, training and experience relevant to their task. And another point by this GCP guidelines, all human subjects should give the informed consent. We have to take before they participate in the trial. Before conducting any human trial, informed consent or document we have to take from the participants. And clinical trial information should be recorded and handled and stored away that allows accurate reporting, interpretation and the verification. And data should be kept confidential and protected, particularly when it identifies a particular subject. Regulations that govern privacy and confidentiality should be followed where required. So it follows the accordance with a good manufacturing practice and specified in the trial protocol. Protocol we have to mention everything, and we have to take the responsibility of the participants and the human subjects. Okay. Systems for assuring the quality of trial conduct and the data should be in the place. So these are the guidelines given by the ICH. So ethical committee reviews mainly the investigator approach, study protocol, investigator qualifications and also informed consent documents, information provided to the subjects, any adverse effects, protocol deviation they will monitor, and investigator roles and responsibilities are to conduct qualified study and adequate resources to conduct the study, pilot study we have to do, and provide medical care to the study subjects, and regular communication with the ethical committee reviewing study, and compliance with the study protocol, maintenance of investigational product accountability, and randomization, unmasking the procedures, and should provide informed consent to the study subjects. So informed consent document should be study purpose should be explained here, and number of expected study subjects to be enrolled should be mentioned, and study treatments, study procedures and subjects responsibilities, any risk to the subjects we have to explain in the informed consent, and expected benefits, what we go to do, and alternative procedures or therapies, compensation available in the event of study, any injury in the trial, the person prone any adverse drug reaction, or if what happens, we are responsible, and anticipated payments to the subjects for study participation and anticipated expenses to the subject for study, and we have to all mention in the informed consent document. Confidentiality also maintained, and study subject willingness, circumstances under which subject participation sometimes terminated, what is the reason also we have to mention. So components, so summary of results from the non-clinical studies, any risk benefits to the human subjects, mainly complaints to the good clinical practice, and any reference literature, standard operating procedures, all you have to mention in the informed consent document. Whereas investigator brochure that mainly explain description about the drug, physical, chemical and biological property of the drug, dosage form, storage condition and stability will be explained, about description about the drug, and pharmacodynamics, pharmacokinetics, toxicological properties we have to mention in the investigation brochure. sponsor some finance who are giving finance for this conduction of the clinical trials or organization. Roles and responsibilities are mainly regulatory authority notification should be given and confirmation by this ethical committee, investigation product confirmation, and what is the investigation product manufacturing, packaging, labeling and coding, and investigation product supply and handling. These are responsibilities of the sponsor, and various regulatory authorities are there to perform the watchdog role to ensure the animal studies as compared to the good laboratory practice, clinical trials adhere to the good clinical practice, and so manufacturers adhere to the good manufacturing conditions by India's Central Drug Standard Control Organization. So with this I completed the new drug development and the clinical trials. Thank you for listening my lecture.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sharing your valuable information on stages of drug development and phases of clinical trials in detailed explanation and in easy understandable language.